We completed the limud of the first midah, which is the midah of Mikel Kamocha, and the sikum is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the lashon of Kabbalah is called Melech Aluv. This is Melech Aluv. I'm not sure why he changes the lashon of the Kabbalah. The lashon Kabbalah is Melech Aluv, where you find that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is named in every letter of the alphabet, right? Reish is Rachum, so Ayin is Melech Aluv. So he's an offended Melech, and the way Rabbi Cordevaro explained the offense, it's a certain type of offense which is more difficult to attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than it is to attribute to ourselves. But the idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mefarnes u'mechalkel, he is energizing every single thing that we do. Impossible to lift up your hand, impossible to say a word, impossible to take a step without the koach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do it. It takes nothing more than a withdrawal, chas v'shalom, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for something to completely evaporate. The whole Chaim Lozhin teaches about Arichus, the Indian of Chorban Beis Hamikdash is not so much that we did an Avera and the Romans came or the Babylonians came and they destroyed the Eitzim of Avonim, but the Pshat is different. The Pshat is that we, through our Maisim, created a situation where the Beis Hamikdash itself, even the mortars and the stone, lost its koach. So since it's lost its koach hakiyum, there might have been some chitzonius level of the Beis Hamikdash which was nishar kayim, but the heart of the Beis Hamikdash was not there. So for when the Romans came and they knocked down the Beis Hamikdash, the lashon of the Gemara is kemach tochen tachamta. The wheat was already ground. The job was already done. It was a straw house. It wasn't something which had a kiyum. It just looked like something that had a kiyum, but it wasn't real. So for them to knock it down, they could have never knocked it down had we not have zapped it of its spiritual energy. And if you want to build a house, the building of a house all has to do with the koach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts in. So not just buildings, obviously, the Kal V'chomer person itself, every word, every ma'aseh, even. We learned a ma'aseh of Avera. So a ma'aseh of Avera, how do I get the koach to talk lashon hara? How can somebody have the koach to even kill somebody? How could a person have the koach to be destructive? That koach has to come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't make a lot of sense, except for the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to destroy us as he did with Yeravam. Says Tomer Devorah, he's not going to destroy us because we violated the gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. He's not going to shut the switch, pull the plug, take away the oxygen mask. He's not going to do all that. Why? Because he has hope that this is temporary insanity. This is something that somebody is going through. Okay, going through a mashper, but if I pull the plug out on him now, who knows? If this person is not going to do tshuva. So there's a tremendous amount of aluv on the one hand, biting the hand that feeds it. And it's the real energy here is a tremendous amount of hope. So this is what we learned, I think, in a very deep way. But if you translate it to the fact that we're B'Tselem Elokim, and we're here to create Malchus in this world, and we're here to finish off the Chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that was the entire intention of the world. So now we have to be. Not only we have to be godlike and godly in this, but we can be. As Tzelem Elokim says that you're my malachim here to finish this off. So part of the marching orders are, part of the strategy here is that look, you're at Tzelem Elokim. This is Hashem talking to man. You're at Tzelem Elokim. I put you here in this world to do a job. Your feelings in a certain way become unimportant. Not certainly less important than the other person's feelings. So if your feelings become, you have a shlichus to do. You can't start getting emotional on me here. So you have a shlichus to do. And the shlichus is such that even as we do Hashem's work of malchus, of chesed in this world, even if you would find, which we often find, that the recipient of that chesed is actually not only not thanking us, but actually, biting. Nevertheless, if I mean, one can say, look, I'm only human. So the chiddush of the only human, like I'll help a person, but if he's hurting me every time I help him, what am I helping him for? So the chiddush of the Tomer Devorah here, which is huge chiddush, easy to say, hard to do, is that only human is very big, very, very big thing to be only human. There's nothing as only human. Human means b'tzelem Elokim. That means that we have the koach to persevere in the chesed, even though the person is not just not appreciating, but hurting us because of the chesed. Now, in current psychological language, it's called abuse. But and certainly we shouldn't be enablers to abuse. But that's where the high tech part of this comes in. How do you do it in a way that you're not being abused, but to pull the plug on somebody is just. The famous words of the Sfas Emes. And one of the Hasidim was very angry at him, so he said he looked at the Chassid and he said, why are you angry at me? I never did anything for you. The Pirush L'Pirusha is that somehow psychologically, it's not just that there is such a crazy possibility of somebody hurting us because we're doing something for them. Adarabah, that's exactly the way Hashem created the world. It's good to know. It's a little bit depressing to know, but it's good to know also. Maybe we could drive ourselves not to be that way. But I think that if you're a recipient of chesed, you feel at a certain maybe disadvantage to the other person. People don't like to be at the receiving end. So what do? They got to lash back at the other person to get their ego back. So, like, if you understand that mechanism, you can sort of like start to deal with it. But the Metzias HaDvar is that usually if somebody's hurting you, it's because you've done something good for them. So what's the answer? The obvious answer is, enough, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not going to do it anymore. But that's not that's all fine if we didn't have a job. But since there's a job called Tzelem Elokim, new job title, Tzelem Elokim, but Tzelem Elokim is to be goymer the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to do it in a godly way, and it's beyond many jobs in this world, whether you're working for security or whether you're working, I go beyond what's natural for a person to do. Sometimes you got to be able to take a bullet. Sometimes you got to be able to. There are certain job descriptions in this world. The job description of a Tzalem is a very difficult one, and that is that you have to continue the Olam Chesed Yiboneh has to come straight through to me, and then even as I'm getting hurt in the field by the person who I'm doing, which is totally counterintuitive, I have to keep on doing it anyway. So it's not just a person gets on my nerves, so I'm going to tolerate it because Hashem tolerates me. No, it's I'm being hurt by it. It's very difficult. It's a difficult situation, but hopefully it'll become a little more mukarav l'seichel.
When things happen not because of a person, but because Hashem, like Aaron HaKohen, when he was when his sons were killed, he was silent. I mean, it's the same concept. Same concept.
Very same. Okay, so we started base. Noseh Avon. That's all goes into the Mikhail Kamocha. Mikhail Kamocha, different than any other ale. Different than Mikhail Be'elim Hashem. Mikhail Kamocha is a special kind of an energizer that's beyond being heard. You see the Torah, by the way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu complains, like, where should go, what is Zorah? But at the same time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always Mishachnei him. Mishachnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu in terms that we can understand. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu even told him how to be Mishachnei him. He said to be Mishachnei him by saying the Yud Gimel Midah, say Hashem Hashem. Remind me Hashem Hashem. That's all part of your shutfus here. Remind me Hashem Hashem that I can't cut you off. It's because you made a Zeigel Azov. So you have people in our own rishus that made an Egel Hazav in our own home. It's an unbelievable thing. And but cutting off, you can't. Now, I'm not talking about cutting off for purposes of chinuch. I'm not talking about to pikuach nefesh. I'm not talking about being over lifnei iver. I'm just talking about from our midah point of view. Our midah point of view, there's no cutting something off. The Tomer Devorah says the second midah in Micha's list, Mikhail Kamocha Noseh Avon. I began to explain this last week. He carries the sin very much, I explained, as a banker carries a debt of a person who's a good customer and just is going through a dip financially. So instead of destroying the business because you can't pay your payments, you can't cover your checks. So there is a metzias of the banker who has a relationship carrying the person. It's a good lashon. Noseh Avon, I'll bear your iniquity. I'll carry you while you're being choteh, because again, it's always with the understanding and the hope that Hashem has in us that Rabba Emunah Secha, that I have Emunah in you, that you're not going to forever violate your that you're going to violate your Tzelem Elikim. Sooner or later you'll get there. Hopefully, not everybody gets there, but ad yoim moisai tichak eloi. The Baruch was waiting. So he carries us. That's the Pashup Pshat. That's the Pashup. I don't think the Pshat that's written in English has a Pshat. I don't think that's Pashup Pshat. He bears our iniquity. I don't know what that means. But this is already a Pashup Pshat. But says the Tomer Devorah, you have to go deeper than that. Because Sharei lo yasa ha'adam avain shlo yivra mashchis. That when a person does an Aveira, he's creating a mashchis, a destroyer, a destructive force. It says in Pirkei Avos, Aveira achas kind of like kategor echad. So he's drawing a synonymous connection between a mashchis and a kategor. So here's something new, that when a person does an Aveira, you're not just violating Hashem's will. So it's a feeling thing. Let's say we would ask somebody to do it, and you don't do it, or you do something opposite. So okay, so you didn't do it. I hate you now. You hate me, whatever. But what's this bar mashchus? What's the borei mashchus? What's the mashchus that we're creating? Mashchus is what is a destroyer altogether. So the best our imagination takes us to is that there are, like when we learn Pirkei Avos, that there are different kinds of malachim and shamayim. There's prosecutors, there's defense attorneys, there's all kinds of things going on in the Beis Din Shemala. And I've created another prosecutor, if you will, against me by doing an Aveira. However, Aveira achas kind like kateger echad. He brings here this Tomer Devorah that I have, the volume that I have. He brings here at the bottom. Rani Yedidi Reb Rachavi Yagen. I think he's the Yagen family are Chashiv Sephardi Rabbanim in Lakewood and in Cleveland. So he asked Givaldik that he's being medayik at the Rabbak. Lo yasa adam avich lo yivra mashchis. Since when are we creating anything? He writes here, I just quote you, L'chayra lashon bria lo batzadu elay tzal kadosh baruch hu. Lashon of bria, Bereshis bara elokim, lo batzadu elay kadosh baruch hu. It's a tremendous horror. Shehu yachol livra yesh b'ayin. Al davar shedasa yedei adam by koyach achi yesh b'shashayich lo lashon yitzira, asiya. Bria is, you could say a person is yotzar. 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 A person is, could be yotzar. A person could be osei. Could be creative, but you can be creative. But where do we find a lashon borei? Eitzel adam, that a person has a koach to be borei a mashchis. It's a good question. But TorahLab doesn't answer this question. I think we could attempt to answer the question. It was a good question. Like where do we find lashon bria? Eitzel adam. So let me explain a little outside what I think is going on here in the whole sugya. I think try to figure that out also. The Gemara says as follows. It's Gemara in two places as far as I know, Yom and Kedusha. The Gemara says that very odd statement. It says that there's three negative forces out there that we're very familiar with. We use them somewhat interchangeably, but wrongly maybe. There's Yetzer Hara. Everyone knows about the Yetzer Hara. That sort of voice within me, which is pushing me to do something wrong. Yetzer Hara. There's a Satan. A Maisa Satan. We talk about a Maisa Satan. And there's Malach HaMavis. Yetzer Hara is pretty clear. We talk about that all the time. Everybody, one of the most famous characters in Judaism. Yetzer Hara gets a lot of play. Melech Aluv is part of life, if you will. Melech Aluv, we understand as a Malach that comes somehow. His job is to take our lives away. There's a Satan, which is Ishtasei, like what's this Satan? Comes a Gemara with a very odd statement that says there's three concepts: who hates the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, and the Melech Aluv. Says the Gemara, who Yetzer Hara, who Satan, who Melech Aluv. Just not to get confused, says the Gemara, all three the same thing, really. Really the same thing. Yetzer Hara is what the Satan's another. Who Yetzer Hara, who Satan, who Melech Aluv. So does that mean Yetzer Hara kills us? What is it like? Why is the Yetzer Hara the Melech Aluv? Or is it like one Malach that comes in different forms in different parts of our day? How is it the same thing? Who Yetzer Hara, who Satan, who Melech Aluv? It was a Kabbalah Mechazal, but it's Hainuhach. So the pshat in this is I heard this pshat from Rav Hutner. So that's how. Not Noseh Avon, I actually heard from Rav Hutner. He says that the pshat is that when a person's in their day and they have an urge to do something wrong. Whatever, pick your chet. Talk lashon hara. I really want to talk lashon hara. I want to really destroy this person. All the I don't have to explain to you. Yetzer Hara comes up all day long. I feel like taking revenge. It's a big one. Common. But I don't realize how often we take revenge. So you have Yetzer Hara. I want to break my diet. Whatever Yetzer Hara is. So it's that argument, if you will, that challenge that comes our way. We call it Yetzer Hara, but it's actually it's not an unhealthy argument. It's a healthy argument. It sharpens our ratzo. I might have mentioned before, like as a kid growing up, I was always like one of the things I was never bothered by, like the philosophical questions of like the existence of God and Hashgacha Praga. I'm not that smart. These things bother me, but all right, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. What always bothered me was the Yetzer Hara. Like, why does there have to be like this other voice within me? Why can't I just be like a good person or a bad person, make good decisions, bad decisions? Like, why does I'll have to isolate this demon within me, which is pushing me to do bad? It's your Yetzer Hara. It's your Yetzer Hara. It's like I found it. I don't know why. I always found it to be a sort of a strange concept. By the way, I always had a discussion with a priest about this. He told me about there's no such thing. They halten nicht from the Yetzer Hara. Everything is the devil.
Yeah, the devil made me do it.
The devil made me do it. That's all like a big difference. What's the difference? The devil made me do is kilu. I don't have any bechira chavshus. Yetzer Hara is this kind of like discussion I'm having. Shouldn't die? Discussion. So here you are on a place. It's a minor tightness, and I'm hungry, and I got to have koach to have shalom bayis, and blah blah blah. So nobody's looking, and here's the cookie. So here's the Yetzer Hara. Okay, so it's really not not such a bad thing. It's just like kind of hones our skills to debate. It's like lifting weights. Yetzer Hara, put a little bit of a balance and make things into a challenge. Yetzer Hara. I started to realize that it's very important that it's not just I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, I'm doing good, I'm doing bad. It is important to, like the Gemara says, Lo'elam yargiz adam Yetzer Hara Yetzer Atov. The Gemara Bracha stepped out. Like a person should actually get a little machlokas going on within them between the Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Atov. We all try to be at peace. No, don't be at peace. But yargiz adam, get a rogez. Your rogez going like. Identify what is that inside of me that's telling me to do that. That's a good thing, like just to isolate the part of me. But what it means, if you say that there's this kind of like negative voice, it means that there's a positive one. That's what's good about it. Like there's a Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Atov. But said Rav Hutner, Yetzer Hara, to go back to the point, is mibachutz. Meaning, it's something which is the drive within a person. Am I going to do this? Or am I going to do that? It's making me. It's helping me decide, if you will, which is helping me decide what to do. What's my next step? Now, let's say a person is nichshal in the Aveir. You make the wrong decision. You eat the cookie. You swallow the Drano. Whatever you do. So now what happens is that chet mibachutz was now ingested, and now it's bifnim. So the actual decision to do the Aveira has taken the Aveira mibachutz mibifnim. This is parenthetically what took place at the Eitz Hadas. Obviously, there was the Yetzer Hara before, because otherwise, but the Yetzer Hara was mibachutz, nachash, mibachutz. But when Adam Chava ingested the Aveira, so now the Aveira became part of him. So this demon, this son, this is the son. What you took a Yetzer Hara and you turned it into a son. Hu Yetzer Hara, hu hasan. Well, there's a psychological or a psycho-spiritual process that begins the moment that I do an Aveira. And that is that I have this wrong decision within you, within us. And it's aching me, not aching me, oh yeah, I did an Aveira, I gotta go to the mikvah. But it's aching me in the sense that it doesn't jive. It's like eating something which is like just doesn't agree with you. And now you'll do everything in your force. We'll do everything in our power to make this thing work. And most of that, doing everything in our power, is the cognitive dissonance that a person engages in. A person will rationalize, if you will, the fact that I did this Haber. Well, that's how it starts. I don't know how it ends. That's sort of, well, usually to this I'm only human thing. That's like the only human. So the Aveira, so you open up, try to find some Hasidic sefer that says it's okay. It's okay. I'll do Aveiros. But what's actually happening is it's not okay. Hashem says not to do it. You're not supposed to do it. That's all. But what's actually happening here psychologically is I do something wrong, and now I have to justify that, and I have to make it into something right. And by making it into something right, I've taken kol zman it's a Yetzer Hara. You don't have to make it right. It's a hara. I have a taiva to do it. But after you've done it, after a person was nichshel in their taiva, whatever it might be, so now somehow that taiva has to become okay. So I have to adjust and farkrum everything that there is about me to make it fit with what I just did. And it's just amazing how in my extensive talks with to take an extreme example, extensive talks. It was in two places. One is in jail. I spend a lot of time in jail. I was a chaplain for a while in Attica State Prison, and that was my big stellar. That was the big, when you talk to other jails, when you talk to these people, I mean, by and large, in their minds, they did nothing wrong. By and large, the avoda of which is very different avoda. The avoda of the rehabilitationists and the psychologists on staff is to try. That's what you get them to do tshuva, but just understand you did something wrong. Like you raped and killed 17 women. Like that wasn't me. That was, or was it, and her voice, like all kinds of. I actually had this discussion, believe it or not, with the son of Sam, who's a famous serial killer, the most famous person I ever met. So I had to ask him for his autograph and everything. Really nice guy. I just, like a really. He wasn't Jewish, by the way. He
was.
wasn't Jewish. His name was Sam Berkowitz, and he signed up as a Jew because he thought the kosher food was better than the non-kosher. And also he liked me better than the priest. But Yaakov Ditterstein, he pulled me into this Avon, there's nothing like, you swallowed the Avera hook, line, and sinker. To swallow Avera, so you got to understand, like it rings in my ears, Rav Hutner's words, his very powerful voice of, "Hu Yetzer Hara, hu Asodin," that you've ingested the Yetzer Hara until it becomes a force, not out there, not in some kind of based in Shambhala, not in some other world where we have no kasher to, but a force within us, which is now, it's like a cancer lower later, which starts to eat at everything which is good about us. It starts to eat because otherwise I can't be at peace. How many people are going to have the koach to isolate and say, "Oh, that's a bad thing. I did a bad thing. It doesn't jive." So perforce, a person has to make the whole brain crooked. I think this is what the psychologists mean when they talk about cognitive dissonance. Think about it. You know what dissonance is? Dissonance in the world of music is where if one lead instrument is playing slightly off key, the whole thing won't work. So the whole orchestra, all 47 pieces, have to start playing off key. And it's horrible to listen to, but they have to because it all has to work. So there's a cognitive dissonance where somehow we need to make it work. We need to make what we do work. So usually people who do wrong things, they've got it so figured out. They've got it so clear. I remember in that setting talking to someone who was arrested in minor thing, like he didn't kill anybody, was for being a drug pusher. It was like very, very big in the cocaine market, So my job, talk to them, like, what'd you do? Why'd you do that? You would think he was selling esrogim. It was like the most important thing in the world. He's just helping people and calming people down, and he'd tell you his grandmother had a toothache. The dentist couldn't do anything. He took a little bit of cocaine, put it on her tooth. She was fine. Everything. It's like from his it's against the law. The world doesn't. But it's so clear. Every single kind of a person has this all figured out. That's the mashchis that the Tomer Devorah is talking about. Butter mashchis, it's a mashchis. You're going to find that mashchis. Whoa, what is that? It's very difficult to eradicate. It's very difficult. On what part do you cut out it? It's hard to cut out it without cutting out more around it. And there's a big difference between the avoda of not listening to Yetzer Hara to listening to the mashchis. Says the Gemara that understands something here. Hu Yetzer Hara, hu habash, hu haSatan, that's the Satan. The devil made me do it, yes. But after you allowed that devil in, v'hu ba'alach habavas, and it will continue to kill you, if not physically, spiritually.
It sounds like, there's tremendous implications at stake during that healthy dialogue. If it tips the wrong way, so it's like the Gemara that says if you do an Avera 3 times.
2 times.
Sorry?
2 times.
2 times. You can not only convince yourself that it's okay, but that's a mitzvah.
Right. So that the Gemara doesn't say.
Yeah, the Gemara, but at least you...
Gemara says, it's interesting, because I mentioned last week that if you do it Avera, you do Avera. It feels terrible. If you do it twice, that's like a heter.
But it seems like what it does is it actually can end up corrupting your ability to wrestle with the Yetzer Hara.
Awesome.
Because you've already changed your framework of what you intellectually think is mutter.
It's absolutely the case. It's absolutely what we see. You have to see what your job is, but if you're a parent, if you're a rabbi, if you're in any kind of a position of trying to help somebody, if you're helping somebody deal with your Yetzer Hara, it's one of them, helping somebody deal with something which is all good and all right, like they didn't do anything wrong, very difficult, it's very difficult. So once the Haber is graduated or internalized and is gone, hu Yetzer Hara, hu haSatan, then you got a real battle on your hands. It's a cancer. It's a spiritual cancer, a psychological cancer on your hands. And, like you say, the Gemara says you do it once, it's terrible. I do it twice, it's okay. And then we say, and we know this from our own experience, the Gemara doesn't say this, if we do it 3 times, it becomes a mitzvah. Like we already think it's a good thing to do. Yeah. And it's very difficult to understand what everybody has against me. It's and this is what it is. I was learning. My wife spoke last night here, so I was learning with her a little bit, before she spoke. So I suggest, I don't know if she did actually, I didn't talk to her, but I recommended the Gemara of Rav. The Gemara of Rav says that Rav had a wife who was Mitzayir him a lot. I thought this would be appropriate for the woman's She was Mitzayir him, so it was Zareb. So the Gemara says he would ask for oatmeal, she'd bring him rice. He'd ask for rice, she'd bring him oatmeal. Ask for coffee, bring him tea. Ask for a hot drink, bring him a cold drink. So that's what he was dealing with. I don't know. that's what he was dealing with. So Rav's son saw what was going on, and so if his father said, "Bring me coffee," he would be a shliach to go to his mother. The Gemara said, Abba wants tea. Because that way at least you get his coffee, So, if he wants oatmeal, so he said, bring him wheat, because he wants oats, so that way we get oats. So he had a kishrin, right? Rab's son. So Rab all of a sudden is getting everything he wants. He's not shopping, why am I getting everything I want? What's wrong over here? Why are things working? What's going on? So he investigated it and he figured out what was going on. So he told the son, "Why are you doing this?" So he said, "Now, I just pause. Put yourself in the son's place over here. He can't stand the tension, the stress of his father asking for one thing, his mother giving the opposite thing every time. He's keep it off. My father wants coffee. Give the man a cup of coffee. What's the you can understand. You can understand. I so understand the son. Who doesn't understand the son? But Rav gave him Musar. He said that Rav said to his son, "Look, Lo yargil al l'shoin chasheker," he quoted a pasuk. Lo yargil al l'shoin chasheker. Now it's interesting that he didn't quote the pasuk. This was my chap here. He didn't say b'dvar sheker tirchak, you're not allowed to lie. Maybe it's a case we are allowed to lie. Shalom bayis and everything. Maybe you are allowed to lie. So I lied. It's a little white lie. But he didn't say b'dvar sheker tirchak. He said that this is a bad habit. Lo yargil al l'shoin chasheker. Once you start, ein ladavar sof, ein ladavar sof, and verfaltarain, in this web of untruth, there's just no way to get out of it. There's just no way to get out of it. So there's a good example, that we've all been through at some point or another, probably, where you have a yetzer hara to lie. You say, "I'm going to tell the truth," but then let's say you actually do tell that little white lie or gray lie or whatever color it happens to come in. But if you do tell that lie, now you're mamish stuck, because now you have to be, the Bali Muslims say a shakard has to have a very good memory. Emes, you can always remember the Emes, but shakard, what did I say?
Right.
It's a very difficult, you're in a very difficult place, I plead the right not to give personal examples, but it's a very bad thing. So he didn't tell him, "Don't lie." Maybe yes, but look at that. It's not kedai lo yargil al l'shoincha lo yargil. That was the lo yargil al l'shoincha sheker. You're taking something which is not even. It's hard to even classify it as yetzer hara at this point. I really want good for my father, shalom bayis, my mother. Think about how she's going to be Yorish Gehenim for being Mitzar to the Gadol Hador. There's so many cheshbonos over here, but don't go that there. That was what Rav told us on. Much bigger libud and a much bigger legacy that he left over than having had the cup of coffee was Layargol Shenk Sheker. So that's the way it works. Now here, where does Hashem come in? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes in. He doesn't take away our free choice. So a person wants to go in, even though the Gemara says that Yetzer hara is a very strong force, and Lulei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Like we do have a koach. What does that mean? Hashem created a bria within us which can withstand the Yetzer Hara. We do have a koach to withstand any temptation, any negative temptation. You just have to do it. There's no greater feeling in the world than having overcome than not eating the cookie. It's the greatest thing in the world. It's triumph. Telling the emes. I must tell you this. It was just such a good example. There's a fellow I know from Russia, good yeshiva bacher. So he wanted to learn a Lakewood, and his mother was sick. So he traveled to Russia to take care of his mother. And they wanted to come back to Lakewood. He couldn't get a visa to come back to the United States. He couldn't get an entry visa. It became much tougher to get an entry visa. So he couldn't get an entry visa to the United States of America. And he could learn in Lakewood. He was able to get it to Canada. He couldn't get it to America, the United States. So very smart guy, a guy from Russia, yeshiva bacher. So he decides that at the middle of the night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, he's going to swim across Lake Erie and get into Lackawanna, New York, which is outside of Buffalo, and he'll take that swim and is in America in Fartigadesa, without going through the whole business. Like he's in America, and he really investigated what's the best place to swim this, and where is it the shortest thing, and he got the right gear, the right swimming gear, so he could keep his papers dry, everything that they had that was dry. And once he was in America, he wasn't worried about it so much because he had a student visa, like a temporary visa, so it was Kilo, he never left. That was his thinking, whatever. But he had the right equipment, the right everything, and came on shore, like he made it. He came on shore at the dead of night. It's scary that people could do this, but they did it. He did it. He came on shore and he's walking, and he asked somebody, "Is there a hotel near here?" So they told him, "Yeah, it's a mile up the road. There's a hotel." So he changed quickly. He got into regular clothes that he had with him, and he's walking to the hotel, and he was hungry, so he stopped into a 7-Eleven that was open in the middle of the night, and the streets are empty, and Kisava Yellow Aretz, he made it. He comes out of the 7-Eleven, a policeman stops him and says, "What brings you to the neighborhood?" When he didn't stop him, he's the only white guy anywhere around, So he said, "I drink." I said, "What are you doing here?" So he said, "I just want to go to my hotel. My hotel is there, and I'm here." Yeah, but you have friends here? Do you live around here? No, I don't have any friends here. Well, what are you doing here? So he said, "I'm just here, passing through." He said, "How did you get here?" So he says, "I swam across Lake Erie." Yeah. So okay, pause. Shoita. He went to jail for 6 months. The rest of the story is not important. The point is that when he realized at a very not too deeply into the conversation that if I'm going to start, Ein L'Davar Sof, and I'm just going to get myself in deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until who knows what's going to happen. I mean, just made a quick calculation as a yeshiva bacher who was L'Shem Shamayim. There was definitely a higher truth here. Got to go to Lakewood. but he realized at some point that there's a little derech. So how did you get here? I swam across like you did what? He was describing the expletives that the policeman used. By the way, it's not like they had cameras on him it was just in the Shemayim, it was just one of those things. Some lady called and said, "This guy, funny guy walking around," something like that. But anyways, the point is you go from to take that jump from Yetzer Hara to something is a big one. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't help so much with the Yetzer Hara, meaning it's our choice. We have free choice. And he doesn't help so much with the Satan either, meaning the destructive force that it is. It's a bigger challenge for everybody, but it's a force which is real, and it's working on us. But hu malach hamavos, this is where HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes in. That before it kills us physically, spiritually, psychologically, or it commits suicide, who knows what could come, how the malach hamavos will present itself. But we're talking about something within, not something that's out there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and says, "Hold on. Let me help over here," And there's a understand this, that even if a person is in this very, very deep this deep condition of dissonance, where it doesn't seem possible to get out, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can help the person get out. You could have siyata d'shmaya, where there could be a blitz of tshuva, and somehow or another, I will find a way out. It's a koach which is, I think, beyond teva. It's beyond anything which is natural. That's the koach. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu's interference, if you will, is right between Satan and Malach HaMavos. These are the words, pretty much, that he says. Once you understand this, I think this is what he means. What's you zeicha to hear these words from Rav Hutner, Zecher Tzadik L'Vracha. We'll learn an insight tomorrow in the words, but let me just translate and see where we're going here. Now, we are, this is Hashem and us, Bein Adam L'Baka. We are the godly ones that are now dealing with other people. So we're HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In this sense, we're HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it means to say that if somebody hurts us, we put something out there. Let's say it's one of our children. Let's say it's a good friend. Somebody hurts us. Somebody has a challenge to hurt us. You would hope, you would think that if somebody would be a loyal friend, they would stop right there and make the right decision and don't violate the friendship which we've established. Don't violate the chesed that I've done for you. But some people are not so loyal. In fact, I find I want to be cynical, but few and far between are those under pressure that are loyal to a friendship. People, hopefully, to their spouses are loyal to them. But it's very difficult when you're in a situation to be a loyal person, a loyal friend. So let's say somebody I trusted, and they violate this loyalty. A seminary girl was describing to me, so she had like this closest friend. She was Megala, all of her sodos to this close friend, and they did everything together. They went daven together. They went out to eat together. Did everything together. And she's about to walk into her single girl. She's about to walk into her dormitory or her apartment there, and she hears her best friend talking on the phone with another person. And Mama's talking Lashon Hara about her. She's standing. Imagine the pain. It's like standing at the door and listening to a person and being megala her sodos, the things that she told her, and told. Those girls said to me, like, I don't know how to, I can't trust anybody. I told her secrets, and she's, so she burst into the room. What are you doing? How can you talk? What are you, and the birds look at, you first, so she was over her Yetzer Hara, starts to rationalize what happens, who was something. No, it wasn't so LS, and this person knew anyway, and blah, blah, blah. So what's like the discussion with this violated girl is, okay, I understand, I understand how angry you are. But, there's like a big kiddush here that the koach of a basar v'dam, hard to tell somebody this because it's very harsh. The koach of basar v'dam is now to intervene and not allow the person to become a total creep, by rationalizing this further. So the easy thing to do is, I'm just never going to talk to you again. That's the easy thing to do. The godly thing to do. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would do that with us, okay, I'm just never going to talk to you again. We'd be messed up. So it's not just we do connect and we do like act to people like you want Hashem to act to us. No, it's much deeper than that. We're Tzelem Elokim. So if we're Tzelem Elokim, so that means that we have a certain job here, koach, not just a job description, but a koach. We have the company behind us here to be able to do something which is taka not normal. And that is to intervene and help the person come back to their good senses. Help the person realize what they've done wrong, and not without Musar, and without being preachy, and without how hard is that? But there's a siyata d'shmaya here that we have as a tzalom elokim to be able to redeem the person that hurt us in a very deep way, and go let the person who let something go from Yetzer Hara to something and stop it from being Malach HaMavos. It's not just about giving Musar, because that's totally ineffective. To preach to someone is not only not the right thing; it's just totally ineffective to start matif to the person, but to somehow or another with a smile, with gutzkeit, to be able to bring that person around to a place of tshuva, if you will. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for us, and it's a koach that we have for someone else. Let me just go back here for a second. We talk about a person who's boirei is mashbet like yesh mi'ayin. So which adam is boirei? No adam is boirei as an adam. However, when we put on our executive suit, and now we're in this world as shluchei Hashem, as tzelem elokim, it's a different idea. We're here to complete the work of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's line came till here. We're pulling it a little bit further. The Sarusa de Lasata, if you will. So it's Betzalel that built the Mishkan. This was the. So in this case, we become the Barei. In this case, we become the Barei, meaning not that we're Barim, but it's our job now. Hashem says, you could finish off the Bria here for me. That's what Malchus is. Malchus is B'dei Adam. So if Malchus is B'dei Adam, it's not like we're coming up with a new term. I mean, I think this is the answer to the Rav Yagen's question. This is what I would answer. That it's not that we're coming as a new force, like we are Borei. Hashem is Borei. We're Borei. Beichatesa. No, it's that we're coming b'koach Hashem. If I'm representing a company, if you're representing a company, you write a check for $14 million. It doesn't mean you have $14 million. You're writing a check on the company. So in that sense, you're the check writer. You're the shaliach shalom kaboisai. So the HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants an olam chesed, and he puts us. We're the malachim, the neshamas from the malachim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu dafka brought down and said, okay, you're the one who's suitable for this task of bringing my Shechina into the world. So the answer is yes, that we have a koach habriya.
But the Bria is a mashkas.
Nachon, bein tov, bein l'ra. Because the mashkas is also min hashamayim. But you're right, even a davar ra, not even a davar ra. I mean, what does Tzalom Elokim do? It allows a person free choice ad kedei kach, where you can be borei masam. It's not just violating your that's all. Not just you're violating your executive privileges, so I'm going to take it away. I'm going to work with you. So now you're a borei mashkas. So where does HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually start getting involved with us? When it gets too far that you're really stuck, you can't get out of it. I'll help you. But in that sense, the Adam is the Koach Hashem. Like, what's the whole kasha? The whole kasha is Hashem is a bar, Adam is not a bar. But why are you making a dichotomy between Adam and Hashem? It's true we're not God, but it's also true that we're godly, and it's also true that we're coming with a shlichus here from a much higher place, and it's also true that Hashem gave us all the equipment to be able to do this, internal equipment. Mental equipment, spiritual equipment, neshama, whatever it is we need. Like, we our man at Damascus, we've got everything. We've got the earphones. We've got everything that you need to be able to pull off this mission. We can do it. So that's. I mean, the term borei doesn't bother me so much. But just to make the sikum, the term borei also empowers us to do something. Just like we have the koach to be borei and mashches, we also have the koach of Hashem to help a person get out of the mashchus that they were borei. So if you'll take it this way, it's the big L. Like, this is what Hashem does for us. Therefore, this is the midah of Hashem that we learned about. And the midah of Hashem we learned about allows us to do this for somebody else. So now we can mamish ko with koach habriya and help the person work out the mashchus who doesn't know somebody who swallowed the fly. Like it's there. It's there already. You did it. You violated it. Whether it's a relationship or whether it's just something which is bad for them, but they swallow. But you can't lose patience with this. You can as a basar v'dam, but you can't as a shliach Hashem. You can't lose patience with it, and it's b'koach ha'adam to be machal. Look at tomorrow we'll learn it.
What would you call the opposite? The person who is called to a mashches, the person does a chet, the person does a mitzvah. What would you call the koach habriya? By in other words, the opposite. If you're the koach the chet.
So the Pirkei Avos goes further. Anybody did aver bar like a teger achas, and anybody did a mitzvah bar like saneger achas. Meaning, what's the saneger? The saneger is that which makes it easier for me to do the next mitzvah because I become a better person. So hence schar mitzvah. Mitzvah goreres mitzvah.
So
that's the gorer. Gorer.
So it's a line that can go either way.
Of course. Yeah.
Morning. I sent you a email a little while ago about my yourself.